Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Many thanks for staying with us, and we are switching gears to agriculture. We're having a conversation around post-harvest losses in Nigeria agricultural sector, the causes and effects. Our guest is in studio. He's Professor Martin Anikwe, a former Commissioner for Agriculture and a Professor of Soil Physics and Conservation. Good morning, Professor, and thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So we're talking post-harvest losses. At what point in our agricultural journey as a nation did we start experiencing this phenomenon called post-harvest losses?
Well, this started with time, long time ago. But the problem is exacerbated right now because of what is happening in the system right now. And I think that was why people have now started paying attention to post-harvest losses and the implications for the country.
So what exactly is happening? Because you said it's a result of what's happening currently. So what exactly are they? Climate issues? Are they economic issues? What are the issues that are currently causing these post-harvest losses?
Okay, let me start like this. Recently the Honorable Minister for Agriculture, Abubakar Kairi, highlighted, he was spotlighting on the problems that's happening, saying that actually, as we speak now, that Nigeria loses up to about 3.5 trillion naira. 3.5 trillion naira on post-harvest losses.
Annually?
Yes. So it's on the public domain. And everybody's trying to find out what is happening and what can we do to stop this.
Interesting.
Yes.
But the question here is, what are the main causes? Are they strictly climate-based?
Not only climate-based.
Okay, so what are the causes and why is it getting worse?
Okay, it's getting worse because of, first of all, let's look at the infrastructure, the road infrastructure. You know that most of our produce is transported a long way. Probably people who grow grains are in the northern part of the country, and they have to bring it down to the southern or to the eastern part of the country. Another problem, so you find out that very, very bad road infrastructure is a very serious problem, because sometimes those goods are moved. It takes something like 3 days, 4 days. Fruits, vegetables, and all those perishables, most of them are lost in transit because we don't have the cold chains to store them. We don't have storage facilities, in fact. So those are actually the issues. So it's something like a burning issue.
Okay, so Prof, I want you to break this down.
Okay.
Because we are novices when it comes to agric. Now, how exactly does infrastructure, for example, good road networks, how has it affected the successive years harvest? I mean, how does it make the yield less, bountiful, successively?
We're not talking about the farmers are producing, but their produce is spoiling in transit.
Okay.
You understand that?
Okay.
It's spoiling in transit. So we don't have good railways. If you travel abroad, you see that there is an organized way to move goods and services, from one part of the country, even across Europe, for example. So, but because we don't have those kind of infrastructure. Okay, for example, if you have a good rail network that moves from Kano straight to Enugu or to Port Harcourt here, every day you see people carrying cattle. Those kind of transportation, they are faster and they are more reliable. But with the kind of road network we have right now, you find out that in every day you find where a truck has fallen, spoiling all the goods. And we are losing. When we lose, people don't get those things in the market, and then there is scarcity, and there's a problem. So that's the.
True. I see the connection now, but let's.
That's just one part of it.
Let's talk about another angle.
Okay.
You would, given the insecurity issue in the country and the political tension, you would hear. Not from official sources. People say, oh, the people in the north that supply those in the east with grains and things like that, they want to starve you guys. So do you think there's a political undertone to, post-harvest losses?
Well, there are political machinations in those cases, but all you know that it doesn't work because this is an economy. There are people, there are demands. The demands for cattle meat is more in the south and in the east than in the north where they produce it. So if they keep it and they want to use it for politics, they will also lose. So they tried this sometime and found that it's not going to work. Because if you produce tomatoes and you don't eat tomatoes a lot, you ship it to the south where you eat it, and then you try to hold back the tomatoes, all of them will be spoiled. And then you will also leave. Your income will go down. Your business will go down. Everything will go down. So this thing is a systematic thing. But I'm not even looking at it from that angle. I'm looking at it from the angle of an agriculturist, where we have, because right now, sometimes up to 50 to 60% of the produce is lost due to so many reasons. What I've just said now is just one. The infrastructural facilities. We don't have the cold chains. We don't have refrigerated air-conditioned vehicles that can, keep vegetable for 3 days or 4 days. If you travel, you see that people can keep vegetables for 1 year.
For years.
Yes. And then they don't spoil. So another aspect of it is that when this thing spoils, half of your produce spoils, the farmers, they don't make the income.
True.
And because they don't get the income, it becomes a problem. So they can't produce again. So it's an interconnected thing for us.
Sure. And this school of thought is telling us that genetically modified organisms, GMOs, that they are the way, that's the way out for, our food insecurity.
Well,
what's your take on this as an agriculturist?
Well, there's been a lot of debate on genetically modified foods, and it's a very, very serious debate, and there are so much misconceptions about what is happening.
Could you break them down for us?
Yeah. Genetically modified foods, as far as I'm concerned, they are well tested. Before they are released into the market, they are well tested. Their effects on the human body is well researched and tested. So it's not just like what we are saying now, that if you eat genetically modified foods, you will have this, you will have this. I don't think it's so. The only thing is that we, as a country, what we need to do is to modify, to look at what we are doing, and then have checks around us. That's what every country should do. You look at what is coming. You carry out your own research in-house.
I like that you said carry out your own research. Do we have domesticated or locally, local researches on GMOs? Because we are looking at food security rather, for Nigeria.
Yes.
Do you not think, because post-harvest losses, they are tantamount to food insecurity?
Exactly.
Do you think GMOs will keep us dependent? Because if we are looking at post-harvest losses and how we can avert them so that we can be secure, in terms of our own food, wouldn't GMOs be doing the same thing?
They should, because
causing us to be dependent.
No. If you buy GMO seeds, for example, you plant it.
So you have to buy the seeds. Sorry to cut you short.
Yes.
I just want to have an understanding
Yes.
of this concept. Now, you don't get the seeds from the fruits. For a GMO, you don't get the fruits you don't get the seeds from the fruit. You have to buy the seed separately, right?
No. Let me explain this.
Yes, please.
There are companies that produce seeds, even in Nigeria. Their job is to produce seeds, which the farmers use. Most of the maize you use here, there are specific companies that manufacture them, that produce them. So they are seed producers. So their job is to produce certified seeds, which are normally distributed to the farmers. Very high yielding varieties of crops, like maize, for example. It's not in Nigeria here. Even rice is certified seeds for rice, maize. They are produced in Nigeria here. So what we are saying is that in GMO crops, what happens is that there is a kind of the seed company. They modify the seeds. Why do they modify the seeds? Technology has shown that you can modify a seed. For example, there is an important bacteria that causes problems, or even the ordinary pests and diseases that you see on maize. So GMOs, they are resistant. It can be modified so that the particular genes that cause that are removed, and then you have a healthy crop. I'm not saying that there are no problems with them, but all around, what we normally say, the kind of arguments we make about GMO seeds is unfounded to me. I don't, as a researcher, I don't see them like that.
Interesting. Let's talk about.
And because sometimes it's because of politics, the politics of those people. They want to grow it in their place, and then send it to us,
making us dependent. That's my point exactly.
Yes, which will make us. We must continue to buy it from them.
Yes.
So that's why. But if we learn the technology, China, some other people have been doing that. We go and get the technology, and then we produce the food, this thing here. So what those companies do is that sometimes they will now discredit your own seeds and try to show you that their own is best, and they won't allow you to have the technology they are using.
But we have the markets.
We have a lot of markets.
It's just that we don't have the technology.
Yes.
How do we get this technology?
That's what the minister was saying, that we need to change strategies. There's a new program the Federal Ministry of Agriculture has now on post-harvest losses. Such things, the program, such things are good. So when we vote money for these things, we give it to the research institutes, and then they're able to we have so many research institutes in Nigeria that are able to do a lot of things in terms of producing clean seeds or other type of things.
All right, talking about research institutes, let's talk a little bit about how is it possible to. I was always curious about this question I'm about to ask you, even as a child.
Yeah.
How come we know that there are crops that are seasonal?
Yes.
How come we don't have the technology to preserve, assuming for some reasons we are not able to export as much?
Yeah.
How come we don't have the technology to preserve, these crops, pending when we're able to sell, for example, tomato?
Good.
Why? How come we've not, gotten our research ecosystem has not been able to come up with, technologies that can preserve our crops so that we don't lose them?
They are there. The technologies are there in Nigeria. It's not like
can you tell us about them and why they are not popular?
Okay. You know about the silos program.
Yes.
Government
for
has
grains.
built. Yes, so for grains. There are so many silos that are built around the country. I think it was zonally based that time, but the Federal Ministry of Ag, and they are there. People also store grains there, even though they are not enough. Then you talk about cold chains. Those are the mechanisms. That's how it's done abroad. That's how it's done everywhere. So there are also technologies that helps crops, or to extend the shelf life, of those crops. They are there. So instead of banana spoiling in 3 days, it will remain good for some part of. So people are doing all those research. If you around us now, the National Root Crop Research Institute at Umodike, they specialize in root and tuber crops. They've developed, cassava.
These technologies, are they available?
Yes, they
accessible?
are. They are accessible.
You did talk about the banana, and my mind quickly went to the substance called carbide.
Okay, people who that one is like a kind of sharp practice that people use, using calcium carbide, to ripen
the bananas.
It's not a good practice, We shouldn't be doing that. But that doesn't mean that we don't have cassava banana varieties that can keep what we call that have a better keeping quality. Like I was talking about cassava. There are cassava now. Cassava is like the chief crop in the Southeast here.
The staple.
So if you go to National Root Crop Research Institute, they've developed cassava that can keep, for more number of days after you've harvested them without spoiling. You understand that? So it's something that's ongoing. Research is going on, and people are embracing those varieties, those new varieties that they have released now. But those things are there. The problem we have is that there are certain kinds of infrastructure that goes with those things.
Aside roads.
Aside roads, okay. Processing equipment. So why can't we, you have 1,000 hectares of cassava or maize. So if you have a processing equipment that can process that quickly, dry them, and then bag them. So we don't have them. So if we look into the processing equipment, it will help us now to at least reduce the losses that we are having. Think about the fruits, the vegetables. Those ones are the ones that can degrade fast. Very 3 days, 5 days, they are degraded. So if you have the kind of cold chains we are talking, you go to the shop in America and you find out that people buy cucumbers, they put it there, it's in cold chain in the shop there, and it's there for a long time.
But then when you talk about cold chain, although we'll get to the other, don't you think it's something that is tied directly to electricity?
Good.
You know, Africa as a whole, Nigeria
yes.
specifically,
we
are still battling the basics.
But okay.
So when you talk about cold chain and given the state of our power generation and distribution in Nigeria, is it really feasible?
Yes.
Can't we do things that are feasible?
Okay.
Because if you decide to provide electricity for yourself, it costs a lot, given the price of fuel. It's a lot of cost. So how much is the person going to sell a piece of cucumber with cold chain? If others are selling for 500, he or she will be selling for 1,500. Who will buy it? So what's the way forward?
So the way forward is that government, sometimes when we talk about government, and even the private sector, they can establish such institutions. For example, I just about 2 days ago, I went to a company in Abani Road. It's just a new company in Abani Road. It's a cold store, and it's run by solar generators throughout. So those kind of things, when we start putting that kind of infrastructure together, we are going to start winning in terms of storage of fruits, vegetables, and even grains. So government has a lot of role to play. The private sector has a lot of role to play, because we are no more in a sector in a time that we normally say government do this, government do this, because people who develop those businesses should think about what is the best strategy to do this. So solar, because now the evolution of the solar technology can help us a lot. So I think that we need to do more. And I'm not saying that we should abandon the power grid, you know that, but it's like
alternative power supply. Alternative power,
yes.
So is there any legislation to curbing these post-harvest losses?
Yeah, that's why I told you that recently the Federal Ministry of Agriculture is working assiduously. The minister is doing a lot of work on what we have just said now, trying to find ways. So now you are talking about legislation. Yes, if we enact legislations that will help to improve some of this, it will be good. Okay, let me give you an example. If we do roads, I create roads and rebuild our roads, let's say we have a double lane road infrastructure from the north to join the east stretch, or like Enugu State Governor said recently that he is going to invest in rail transportation. When we do that kind of thing, you find out that those places where the rail infrastructure will facilitate the movement of materials. So when farmers harvest their goods, it's easy and cheaper for them to move it to the markets or to the cities where they are sold, where they can fetch higher prices. So government has a lot to do, and if it is a government that, if a government understands what they should do, they will do it. So we are now. I'm saying that people should look more at providing the necessary. Government should look more at providing the necessary infrastructure, and then the private sector should also join hands. It's a whole value chain on its own.
Yes, I like the word you use, value chain.
Yes.
I want you to look at the value chain. Give us an overview from the producer, the farmers, to the final consumer. Now, I'm talking hypothetically now. Okay. You have been called upon to lead a committee, a post-harvest losses committee, and yes, you are the chairman. what would be your recommendations to the government, knowing the processes involved, in getting the food, the crops from, harvest to the producer, to the consumer rather? What would be the totality or the essence of your recommendation to the government?
The essence of the recommendation will hinge on 6 things.
Okay.
For me, I've said it before, we need to improve our transport infrastructure. That will be one. So from low transport infrastructure, we need to move it to bring good roads. If you drive around Enugu now, you will see that the roads are good, and everybody enjoys it. So it helps to reduce costs. 2, I talked about inadequate storage facilities. We need to do a lot to provide storage facilities. Now, I'm no more talking about just government. I'm even talking about the private sector. Before you go into this field, you want to, you have a 1,000-hectare farm that you are producing A, B, or C. Put it into your plan that, preservation of what you are going to be producing is an important parameter, because you can lose half of your yield to storage. And then that means that your profit margins will be low.
Of course.
So it's not good. So another thing is the processing equipment I talked about. We need to do it. Sometimes people are not able to do it, but loans can be available, agricultural loans, to provide some of these things for the farmers. And then, finally, the next one is the almighty climate change that we have talked about. It's something that is ravaging our agricultural system now, because you don't know when it is coming. Okay, if you look at this year, this is the first year in more than 5 or 6 years, if you notice it, that we had a full August break. Sometimes you see how it changes.
Yes.
Last 2 years and the preceding years, it didn't come exactly in August. It came in September sometimes. So we need to build resilience against some of these things. Because when we do that, what we are doing is that we are strengthening our agriculture. We are reducing what we talked about, reducing the losses that farmers encounter. You remember that when farmers lose crop, they lose their income, and then their livelihoods are lost.
All right, especially with what we're going through with flooding, flash flooding in Nigeria.
Yes.
We don't have time to go into it, even though I would have wanted you to speak to it.
That's a very serious one.
Devastating. It's a
devastating.
Serious one.
The causes are enormous. Flash flooding. You go to Benue, you go to all those places. You see, even in Enugu State here, if you go to the riverine areas, you see that floods will come, and then cover up the whole farm and spoil everything there.
And it has this ripple effect.
Yes, ripple effect for everybody. It's even on health. Even on health.
Sure.
Even on health.
Sure.
Because a lot of things are happening. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Prof. I wish we had enough time to continue this conversation, but my producer says we have to go. Post-harvest losses in Nigeria's agricultural sector, the causes and effects. Our guest has been Professor Martin Anikwe, former Commissioner for Agriculture in Enugu State. Thank you so much, sir, for your insight.
Thank you very much.
Okay, don't go anywhere. New Day continues after this break. Stay with us.
Save Nature TV, news in your pocket.